Hi everyone, welcome to Lauren's Scrapplot. My name is Lauren Urbonis and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator here in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. So I am very excited to welcome you to my weekly edition of Show Me How It's Done. As you can see, this is not a live recording this week, and I did that on purpose because there are so many little measurements in this card that I thought it might be easier for you to be able to stop and start a video. So I've planned this for a week that I am currently off celebrating the end of the school year with my two little boys. So they've graduated kindergarten and grade 1 this year, and we're just going to do a little picnic with their classmates to celebrate. So I've planned this for the Tuesday that picnic is booked, and I hope that you guys do enjoy the video. If you get stuck with anything, I'm always available after the fact. You can message me through this video link or contact me on Facebook or Instagram on Lauren's Scrapplot. I also put my website at the bottom, laurenurbonis.stampinup.net, and if you go on there, all the supplies that I use for these projects you can find on that website and purchase. There is also a little icon that says contact me, so you can reach me that way as well. So let's get going. Let me show you the card that we're going to do. So this is a really fun interactive card. It's like a spinning sentiment or spin card. And I would like to give thanks to Maria's Crafting Corner because I first saw a different card but using the same fold, and she posted all the measurements on her site and did a video for her card. So I do thank her for that. I have decided to use the new Beautiful Balloons bundle from our annual catalog, and that's what I'm using to make this project today. So it is a larger card. It's a 6x6, but it's going to be a lot of fun. And I figured before we start actually assembling, I'm going to walk you through slowly all the pieces you need to cut so that hopefully we can stay on the same page as we're going here. The Beautiful Balloons bundle is the one that I've chosen to use, but as you can see, I didn't add too much stamping. All that I really used was this sentiment and some of these confetti pieces. I thought on the inside of my card I would go in later and perhaps add a little banner and balloons, but for now, if you just pick a designer series paper that you love, then you'll be able to replicate this card quite easily as well. I did think it would be really fun if you put balloons up in this area instead of the happy birthday as well, but I was really needing to make this a happy birthday card, so I chose to use one of my little stylish shaped circles instead. But that's how you can tie in the balloon dies up in this top corner, is just to cut maybe a couple of them out in different colors, and you could easily replace this little decal with a couple of balloons, and that would be adorable as well. Okay, so let's get going. You have lots of things to cut, so we will do those together, okay? I've tried to put stickies on things to help you. So here is our card base. There we go. It is going to measure 5.5 by 11, and I've put a score mark here down the middle at 5.5, okay? All of these, just a reminder, they are also listed in the description on the video, so it's all written out there, and you can always go ahead, have that done before you even start this project, okay? So fold this card down the middle and put a little score line right there, okay? So here's your card. It's kind of large. You'll have to either purchase or make a specialty envelope for it if you want. But let's start working on the decoration pieces for it. So to begin, I always like to have something on the inside of my card. So I'm doing a piece of basic white. That's going to be 5.25 by 5.25. And I'm going to attach it inside just with some tape. But like I promised you, we're gonna do a bunch of measurements at the beginning here. So let me just keep going and tell you the other two things that you're gonna need for this card base. The front, we need a piece of basic white as well. This one will be 5 3/8 by 5 3/8. So it's barely giving you any sort of a border, but that's okay. That's exactly what we want. 5 3/8 by 5 3/8. And I put a little F on mine so I remembered front. Then I need a piece of designer paper. So this is 5 1/4 by 5 1/4. And of course, I chose a different one on this piece here. You can see I chose kind of those balloon and circles in the background, but any of the papers from this paper pack will be good. This is the Bright and Beautiful paper pack that complements this balloon set. And it's just going to be gorgeous no matter what you use. So 5 1/4 by 5 1/4. Now I need to take a minute and just attach those things so that I can get them out of my way. And you're welcome to do the same, but keep your trimmer handy because we're going to need to do some more cutting. But sorry, if I don't do this, I guess it gets too messy and then I lose track in the video and you're sad because you have to wait for me to catch up. I just use my double-sided tape, but you can use glue, you can use seal, whatever you're most comfortable with. So this patterned designer paper will go on top of this white, and there's going to be barely a border. It's just intended to kind of give you a little buffer between your designer paper and your sheet. If you're wondering, I'm using the Azure Afternoon piece of cardstock. I thought it was just a beautiful blue that kind of really goes well with this package of paper. So again, using tape, I don't need too much dimension because I've got a lot of layers and moving pieces with my other stuff. So I want this to be a nice solid base for my little spin card to work off of. Okay, so there we go. Put this on the front of your card. So I opened my card just to the left. If you want, you could also open it to the top, but it doesn't really matter at this point because this is not directional paper, so I can kind of do whatever I want. And then yes, on the inside here, this really cute little banner might be fun for me to stamp on the top of this later on. It makes it a nice party card. I gave that white piece on the inside a tiny bit bigger of a border because I didn't need it to be right up at the edge. All right, I'm using Lemon Lime Twist for my little banner. Just gently tapping that because I don't want ink all over my block. To stamp this just kind of up in the top here, almost corner to corner. Like that. And you can add balloons later and stuff, but this is cute. Okay, so this base now for the moment, you can just set it aside. We don't need it because we're going to be doing a lot of work on our little mechanism here. We need to build this entire piece and then we'll attach it to the card at a later point, okay? So I'm going to just set that to the side. And I actually do still, sorry, need my workspace, so I need to move that out of the way again. All right, lots more cutting. We're gonna do all of these pieces. We're gonna cut them, but keep your trimmer because we need to do a little bit of work. So you need 4 pieces of cardstock. I chose the same cardstock that matched my base, but you could also choose a complementary piece. So I could use Berry Burst or I could use Lemon Lime Twist, but I need 4 pieces that measure 5 1/8 by 3. So cut these and put them to the side because we're going to work on those and we have to cut some lines into them in a few minutes. But I also want you to have these remaining pieces cut and ready to go. Okay, so these two pieces here, we'll just need 2 of them, and they can be any cardstock or designer paper you want, but they are 1 3/8 by 2, and you need 2 of them. Okay, so they'll be going on your card here, 1 3/8 by 2. So those will be decorating our card at some point. I will tell you when, to the side. Then we need 1 large piece up here. This is 2 by 2 7/8, and you just need 1 of those, because this one is the only large section that you have. 2 by 2 7/8. That to the side. And then 1, 2, 3, 4. We need 4 of the same pieces of designer series paper to put on our little spinning mechanism. Those are going to be 1 3/8 by 2 7/8. Okay, so they can be all the same, or for me, I just went with a strip of paper and I cut all the way down it so that I'd have different variants and different shades. Okay, so it's all the same sheet, but it had different colors. I could have chosen this other side too, if you didn't want the fun patterns. Okay, so I need 4 of them. 3 of them we're going to leave blank. 1, 2, 3. But number 4, I'd like you to do some stamping on. And I want you to do that now so it's out of the way. It honestly does not matter at all which piece you pick. Just grab 1 of them and stamp your sentiment on it. So I'm going to use Misty Moonlight because that's the nice dark blue that's showing up here. And I'm stamping this right in the middle of my little piece. Hold on, I want it straight, sorry, because there's triangles on there. There we go. There's that. And then just for a little bit of fun, we're grabbing our little confetti stamp, and we're going to just go all the way around the edge and do a little bit of confetti. So I always like to grab a scrap piece of paper when I'm doing this, because then I can stamp kind of on the card and off the card, and nobody's the wiser. Okay, so you're going all the way around, flipping your stamp here or there so you're not doing the same thing every time. All the way around your stamp. Here we go. Okay, so that's fun and it's ready to go. So I want you just to set it to the side as well. And we'll do some cutting. Okay, so remember, mentioned we need to do some cutting on these 4 blue pieces. We're gonna do that together. Okay, so nice and slow, grab your trimmer. Here we go. And I'm gonna get this as far up as I can so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so at the moment, these are all the same lengths. So they would be 5 1/8 by 3 at the moment. But now we need to do some cutting so that they all interlock and make, it's not a pinwheel exactly, but make something that kind of resembles a pinwheel for us to spin around. So take 1 of these pieces. You've got your short side. This is the 3-inch side. So you need to line it up to the 1.5 inch mark on your trimmer. Okay, so at the moment, it's lined up to 1.5 inches. Now I'm going to be taking my cutting blade and I'm going to trim down, 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 down to 1.5 inches. So it's lined up to 1.5, and I'm trimming down to 1.5. And you can go just a tiny bit past 1.5 just to make sure you've got a nice cut kind of all the way through. But there is a little marking on your blade here that will line up with that 1.5 inch mark. line those two up and then go just slightly past it just to make sure things are working. Okay, so this is piece number 1. We're going to set it on our desks so that the cut edge is facing the right side. Okay. Next, we're also going to take this short side, this 3-inch side, put it up against 1.5 once more. Okay, so same idea that we did last time. It's lined up to the 1.5, but this time we're cutting down to 3.5. So all the way down to 3.5, and again, go slightly past that 3.5-inch mark, but as long as you're kind of here, you're good. This one was lined up to 1.5, cut down to 3.5. Now this one, I want you to face away so that the little chomping crocodile goes to the left of your screen. So it's going the opposite direction of the one we previously cut, okay? We'll go over that again before we start attaching them. Your next 2 pieces, we're going to do the same thing on both of these, but instead of cutting on the short side, turn them, we're going to be cutting on this long side here, okay? So take one of them, it doesn't matter which one, line it up to our magic 1.5-inch mark. This guy hasn't moved the whole time, okay? Line it up to 1.5, make sure it's the long side, and we're cutting down to 1.5 again, okay? 1.5, and then slightly past, just to make sure. So this one lined up to 1.5, cut down to 1.5, and I'll show you where to put it after. Just set it aside. We're gonna do the same one again. So making sure I'm using my long side here, lining up to 1.5, and cutting down to 1.5, and slightly past it. So you want just a little bit of wiggle room. Lined to 1.5, cut to 1.5. Okay, now you can put your trimmers away. Don't think we need them again, but we have a little bit of playing to do here, okay? Let's bring all of these, get this out of your way. You need desk space. Okay, let's line our pieces up. So we've got baby crocodile number 1 facing the right-hand side of your desk, okay? Mommy crocodile, facing the opposite direction. Now we have 2 jabbermouth crocodiles. They're going to face opposite directions so that the mouths are away from each other. Okay, that's how we want all of this to be laid out on our desks. Now I'm going to grab a pencil so that you have a nice visual of where things are going to go. And this is how we're going to start putting our pieces in place. Okay, so we want one piece up in this top corner, one piece in this bottom, one piece in this top section, and one piece in this bottom section. So if you decided to do the words, then this number 3 is going to be where you're putting your words, okay? There'll be a tiny little border all the way around this designer series paper, but do not put any paper over top of your little alligator mouth. You need that to open and close, okay? So piece number 3, we're just going to lay these all out so that you're comfortable with them. we're going to make sure all your triangles, if your paper's directional, are going the same way. Maybe I'll do that. There we go. Okay. Just like, okay. So this is what your paper should look like at the moment. We're going to go one at a time and put those together. Okay. So paper number 1 on this alligator mouth pointing to the right. Make sure you get glue right to the edge of these papers. So if you're doing tape, you're going right to the edge. If you're doing glue or seal, again, right to the edge, because we don't want any of these pieces catching on each other when we're working with them. Okay, so you might even go so far as to put little pieces on these edge parts as well. Okay, so taper up and then put it into place. I'm going to stand, sorry, I can't see. There we go. This is my top section. I need it to have just the tiniest of borders on the top and the sides, and I've made sure not to cover my little line here, okay? Mommy alligator, this big piece here, putting it down in the corner. So I apologize, I know this video is a little longer than usual, but I didn't want there to be any confusion on where pieces go or what to cut. So I'm going a little slower on this one for you, and I hope that's okay. All right, bottom piece. Again, making sure you've only got the tiniest of borders around the edges. And we haven't covered up this little line here. It does not go all the way over, so you don't have that to line up with, but over here, haven't covered anything. Okay, this piece next, this middle one, is my words. Adhesive all the way around that piece. Missing out on anything. Okay. Keeping our papers in their correct spots because it will make things easier when we're assembling. Okay, and last but not least, so we've got two opposites. We've got a top and a bottom. Now these two are opposites. We've got a top and a bottom. Okay. You in place. Okay, now these pieces are good to go. We could start assembling, but to make our lives a little easier, if you're using double-sided tape, I'm going to show you where to put some adhesive so that once our pieces are all attached, it'll be quick and easy for you to kind of snug them into place. So I need you to find Mommy Crocodile, this guy down here, and we're going to take a little piece of double-sided tape and put it right on the edge of the bottom half of her mouth, okay? So we're not covering that slit. It's still wide open. We're putting it on the bottom section, the same one that has our designer paper. Then I want you to turn it over, and on the back of that same panel, or no, on the back of the opposite panel. So turn it over. It looks like a mouth again. We're putting tape on this bottom piece again, okay? So we've kind of put it on the bottom of her mouth both times. Bottom of the mouth, right along the edge. Bottom of the mouth, right along the edge. Okay? And then you can also put a piece of tape on the bottom of the piece that you've put your words on. So all the way across, because there's no slit to worry about there. Put a piece of tape. Do not take these backings off, okay? We will have to do that when we're ready to go. I'll let you just make sure you've got all that. And also remember, you can always hit pause, as this is a recording, so watch at any pace you want. Okay, well, let's do some work. Mommy crocodile, chomp, chomp, chomp. Got little baby crocodile. They're gonna go together so that you can see both of the designer series papers, okay? So I want them together so they can see both papers like this. Leave these two flaps open right now. I know it's tempting to kind of add that adhesive, but that's not what we're doing at the moment. I feel like I put the adhesive on the wrong side. Oh man. Okay, sorry. I messed you guys up. You just ignore me for a second. I want to make sure that yeah, I did. I'm sorry. Okay, I need this tape on the top. So I can just take it off and rub it off because nothing's been attached at the moment. And it's still going, it won't be in the way at all. Okay, so just rub it off. If it's not coming off, don't stress because we're covering it with the designer series paper. Okay, but just rub, rub, rub. It'll come off super easy. I apologize. Let me confirm that this is the right way. Yeah. Okay, put it on the top. So opposite of the paper. Flip it over and put it on the top. Because the reason I messed up is if you look here, I put these two together. At some point, we're going to be attaching these pieces together. I had the tape right here, and of course that would do us no good because that's not attaching to the piece under it. But don't attach right now because we need to do a little bit more work. Okay, so I apologize for that. Hopefully you were able to just rub off your tape quite easily. And like I said, in the future, we're just going to be putting these pieces on here so you won't notice at all. Okay, so we have this all ready to go. It's going to be loose still, that's fine. Okay, now we're coming in with the piece that has your words. And this one also is going to just kind of tuck in as far as it can go. And we want to be able to see the words for now. Okay, we will flip them later, but for now, we want to be able to see these words. And then this last piece here, this is where it gets fun. It's got to slide under, but we don't want it under the celebration. We don't want it under the piece that we had originally. We want it to be third in line. Okay, so we want this piece to be sandwiched in between your back and the two pieces you've already done. So we've got 1, 2 with designer paper. Then you're gonna sneak this guy in as number 3 in that row. And it might take a little bit of convincing to get him to snug into place, but that's what it needs to do, okay? So before you've done anything, let's just confirm you've got something with words, another piece of designer paper, that last piece with the blue on the top and the paper, designer paper down in the bottom, and then we've got our initial piece that we were working with, okay? Now what you can do is you can take the tape one at a time off of these pieces, and you're going to connect these together. Make sure your corners are lined up. You want everything to be all squared away. Here's one. And then this would be the opposite piece. We're going to make sure that it is lined up to this corner here. Nice and straight, nice and straight. Okay, so far that's good. We haven't put any adhesive in the middle because we need lots of room for that little mechanism to move. So only on those edges. This would be the time where if you didn't use tape, you would just put a little bit of glue inside that space. Okay, then the last one that we're connecting up is these 2 large pieces. Again, we've just done the very bottom, so we need lots of room for it to move, and you're sandwiching those together, okay? So now you can kind of see, you start playing with it, this is what will happen. That. Like that. Okay, so I want you to hide your words, flip it so that your words are hidden, and it'll take a few moments for you to kind of get this moving nicely. So hide your words, and this is kind of what you should have in front of you at the moment. So you should have those 2 empty side panels and this 1 large space at the top. Okay, so I'm hiding my words. So this is what I've got. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to decorate these 2 little panels with those 2 pieces of designer paper. These ones would be also cute if you wanted to stamp some balloons. You can't put anything up on dimensionals here because this will, it could bump into it when it's flipping around. Like this part here kind of bumps into that space. You can put something on the bottom, I guess, if you really want to. No dimensionals. First one. Go. And they're the same, so it doesn't matter which one goes on first or second. They just fit nicely in there. 1 and 2. Making sure not to go over any of those connecting lines. Go. And then this guy is going up here. Now I decided I wanted a little extra tab so that people kind of got the idea that, oh yeah, I need to flip. So I cut myself an extra small circle from the Stylish Shapes dies, and you can choose. You can either tuck it under this designer paper before you attach it. It'll kind of be right in the front here. Or I thought it was easier just to put it in the back. But I just wanted to give you the choice before you attached this piece in place. Two, 4. This was the same piece of paper as the green. I just chose one of the sides for one part of the project and the other for this top part. Okay, so this should nestle nice and snug right in there. Teeny tiny blue little border. And then this guy, we're putting adhesive just on the very bottom of it, kind of like halfway and to the bottom. And this can be stuck behind this panel here, like that. I guess if we were smart, we also could have tucked it between those two pieces before we flip things, but I forgot, and that's fine. It'll do just fine in the back here. Nobody's gonna care that it's back there. Okay, so we've got our mechanism. We've got a card. How do we attach the two? That's a good question, because you need this piece to be able to move. So you can't put any adhesive where it won't allow those pieces to rotate. Okay, so the only place that you can put adhesive is under the two edges of these green pieces. And I feel like that's why I had the tape there in the first place, and that's why I got confused, because I still need tape right along these two edges. Okay, so that was where my mistake happened, and thanks for putting up with it. There we go. So make sure not to connect those lines. You still want a nice division between them, just because we still want that air pocket to be able to move. So don't connect these two with like a nice long piece of tape. You need separate pieces so we maintain that line in between. But you can go ahead and maybe do like 2 rows of tape. That shouldn't get in your way. And you can just confirm by kind of rotating it and making sure that nothing is close to your tape. And we've still given ourselves a little bit of space for the card to kind of have some air to move. Okay, so take off this tape here. Now we've made sure everything's all squared up. We like it. We're going to set this in place so that it's got the tiniest of designer series papers borders all the way around. And remember, only this left-hand side is really getting attached. Okay, so this is technically loose, but it's heavy enough that it's going to kind of flop down to the front of the card and still give you the ability to move and flip. Like so. All right, then to finish it off, I have this little piece of white paper that I've cut out with the Stylish Shapes dies. This is the second or third largest of the circles. And I'm just stamping in Berry Burst a little happy birthday sentiment. Oh, and this guy you can pop up on dimensionals. Yay, we get to use some dimensionals put in place. Just like so. There we go. Now you have 2 adorable cards that both flip this, and you can open up, stamp, and write all in there. So I hope you enjoyed the cards. I know there's quite a bit to it, but I think once you get comfortable with all the pieces, then you'll be good to go. One idea that some people have had is, instead of designer paper in these spaces, they just use white and they stamp a bunch of different things in there, and that would look great as well. I just unfortunately was using a bunch of my stamps on other projects, so I needed this one to be more focused on the paper itself. And hopefully you like it. So thanks for joining me. If you did enjoy the video, I would love to ask for you to like and subscribe to my channel, and it just gives a little encouragement for me to keep doing videos. And if there's a topic that you're interested in, just shoot me a note and maybe I can do a video about it for you in the future. See you next week for another edition of Show Me How It's Done. Bye!